You are not the thinker of your thoughts. Your thoughts aren't these little objects that we can just make appear. They are almost like dream-like motions of consciousness. They're like contractions of consciousness, and these thoughts they begin to become solid and dense, and they'll seem to become solid and dense. And what tends to happen is that we apply language, and then we apply meaning, and then the language and the meaning starts to become very prominent, and then we identify, and then we believe we are that with which we identify, namely the thoughts. And these thoughts, when applied with meaning, create feelings, and these feelings create this sense of being a separate self. And what's really happening is that thoughts are impersonal. They are like, if you can hear it right now, sound of the children playing in the school. They're just happenings. And although it seems like our thoughts are personal because they seem to relate to our life, we're not thinking them. We're not the thinker of them. If you go to your experience right now, you'll notice that your thoughts, there's an experience of willing them, but even the willing them is an experience that we don't do. The experience of willing the thought is an effortless arising, which is effortlessly arising as spontaneously as the thought itself. And the goal here is not just to be like, oh no, I'm not the thinker of my thoughts. The goal here is to realize, oh, so what does that really mean? What does that really mean? If I'm not the thinker of my thoughts, just process this for a minute. Go to your experience and experience this sense of being aware. And this sense of being aware is this primary background, and your thoughts appear on it. Now, I don't want you to just see that your thoughts are appearing on it. I want you to see that your thoughts are appearing as it. There's no distance between you, the background, and the thought. There's no background and no witness. What would be witnessing it? Where would be the witness of the thought? If you are a witness of the thought, then where is the border between you, the witness, and the thought? There is no distance, there is no border. You are the thought. You are an absolute infinite consciousness that is contracting within yourself, creating the appearance of a thought, just like we create the appearance of all of experience. When I say that you're not the thinker, you're not thinking the thought. There's no thinker there. Where would the thinker be? In your experience? Is it in the head? If it's in the head, then where in the head is it going to be? Is it sitting there with a little filing cabinet picking out words? Of course not. So what we're really doing here is we're just seeing with clarity that there's no individual thinker of a thought, just like there's no individual doer of an action. All the actions that we partake in, they're not done by us in the same way that a wave isn't done by the wave. The wave doesn't wave itself. The tail of a dog doesn't wag itself. You see, there's always a greater reality that is maintaining, creating, and sustaining all individual finite forms of experience. So in our experience, what we're really doing is we're not seeing that we have no freedom, we have no free will. It's quite the contrary. We're seeing that there is no individual that has free will, but there is infinite free will for everything in the universe. And we are that will. We are this pure, infinite, whole movement of experience. And we can't really call it a movement because it doesn't really move. If there's no time or space, you can't have movements. But what we are is we're having the appearance of movements, just like the appearance of a screen. It looks like there's movement on it, but the screen isn't moving. You see, and you are the screen in reference to your experience. You are a conscious, aware screen in which experience takes place, as which you are experiencing it, and with which you experience. So there's no individual thinker of a thought. But that doesn't mean the thoughts don't take place. Now, the reason thoughts still take place and seem to make perfect sense, even though there's no individual thinker of them, is simply because everything is thought or done or created by the same thing, and it is in perfect harmony. basically one infinite field of being in perfect harmony, creating everything. Now, it does this effortlessly. So in your experience right now, I want you to just experience this effortlessness. This effortlessness to your experience. Imagine that you are being carried by life. You in the sense of the body. Your thoughts are thunk for you. Your body's moved for you. Your life is lived for you. Everything is done for you. You're like an infinite king. All experience is your servant, your thoughts, your feelings, and everything is pointing you in the direction. It's kind of like you are this king who's forgotten you're a king, or a queen who's forgotten she's a queen. And you've left the palace, and you're in the palace. You're in the kind of common grounds, and you're in the marketplace, and you've forgotten that you're the queen. Now you've told the queen, you've told your servants that don't remind me. If I forget, don't remind me. I want to just experience for a while what it's like to be a peasant. And and so the servants, they know you've forgotten, but now it's been like decades, and they're going, right, well, she told us not to remind her. How can we point her in the right direction to remember that she's the queen? Because she's forgotten and she's suffering. So then the servants will dress up as commoners and peasants, and they will gradually direct her back to the palace. That is what life is doing when we have forgotten what we are. So even when we've forgotten what we are effortlessly coming back to what we are. And then when we are what we are simply in that effortlessness. We are in the palace grounds now. We are in the throne, and life is being done for us. It's like it's just being done. Anything that we want. It's like we are moving everything at will. Nothing is done for us. Like imagine that you were just like a infinite sense of awareness, and anything you wanted, it would happen. This is kind of what we're doing. We're creating that everything as it goes. So it's not that we have destiny, but the minute that we create it, it becomes destiny. And then it becomes undestiny again. So there's just complete freedom, and we're all willing it as we speak, as awareness, not as an individual. Now, the best place to be is not trying to control the reality as a result of this, because we realize that reality is already in control. So from the point of view of the separate self, the more we try to control reality, or the more that we try to control experience, the more resistance we find. And then we find that the more that we surrender the individual will, and then surrender ourselves to this infinite flow, the more we tap into that infinite flow. And that infinite flow is the Tao. It's the way that everything is naturally moving. And we don't need to touch it. It's already perfect. So we surrender that will. And then as a consequence, we apparently seem to have more control, more freedom. You see? So it's not that we have more freedom as a separate self. It's that the experience of more freedom takes place when we surrender the individual control. So in a sense, we don't have control, yet we have full control. This is the magic of this process. We live in this beautiful, beautiful universe, and everything is perfect and harmonious and free. And the only time that we will find any suffering or any lack of harmony is in the resistance to our experience and the need to find control. I have a free community with meditations every single week. The link's in the description. If you'd like to check out these meditations, I do them every single week. Feel free to join. Take care, guys. Have a beautiful day. Bye.